Welcome to the Money Hour with host Tina Mitchell. Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited, NMLS 134871. The views expressed by the speakers on the following program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited, nor are they necessarily endorsed by Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited. Now, in the studio, local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, June 11th show. You can also listen to my podcast, Facebook premiere, or you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. In addition, for more information on my upcoming events, please go to tinamitchellevents.com. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, bringing in expert advice and inside knowledge on today's events and how they can impact your money. If you are hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I'm here to answer any questions or, more importantly, to connect you with the guests that I have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or you can go online to themoneyhour.com. And now my lineup for today's show. Today, I'm going to be having a panel conversation with my three guests. Tania McLaughlin of American Family Insurance, Insure Carefully, Dream Fearlessly. Also, Justin Dime of Bordeaux Wealth Advisors, managing the complexity of wealth so you don't have to. And Marnie Garcia of HR Connections, Human Resources and Bookkeeping. Also, if you're watching my show on my Facebook premiere or YouTube channel, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce my producer over at Hubbard Radio, Benny.
Hey, Tina.
Definitely deserving of that intro. And also my marketing director, Becky.
Thank you, Tina. Hello.
How come she didn't get a nice announcement there, Benny?
You are.
There we go.
Wait a minute. There we go. Just be patient. Be patient. All right, now.
I could not do it without Becky and Benny, everything that you do behind the scenes. That's why we're here each and every week. So thank you. Great information and great guests in the studio. For more information on any topic discussed, please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or online at themoneyhour.com. And as I do each week, let's go ahead and start out this week with a little bit of money chat.
Money.
Tina Mitchell here with your money chat. Housing market forecast. The QE Zillow Home Price Expectation Survey is a survey of the top 100 to 150 economists in the U.S. Showed some interesting forecasting on housing. Of the 114 economists surveyed this time, participants expect on an average 4.8% appreciation per year over the next 5 years nationally. Cumulatively, they expect over 26 appreciation. While it's not easy to buy a home, it is a smart financial decision. Now, housing keeps on trucking. CoreLogic released their home price index report showing that home prices rose by 2.6% in April and 20.9% on a year-over-year basis, which remains stable from the March, and the matches of the highest reading in the 45-year history of the index. They anticipated that 70% of homes sold over asking price in spring. Now, CoreLogic has been missing their forecast by a large margin. Let's take a look what CoreLogic forecasted for April. They anticipated a 1.2% reading in the month, and we saw 2.6%. When you look to their report from last year at this time, they forecasted that home prices would increase 4%, and they reported prices actually rose nearly 21%. CoreLogic's forecast that home prices will appreciate 1.2% in May and 5.6% in the year moving forward, which is a slight decrease from almost 6% in the previous report and still behind most other forecasts. Even if CoreLogic is correct and we see a closer to 5% appreciation, it is still extremely meaningful for wealth creation. If someone bought a home for $400,000 and put a 10% down payment, that means that they would gain 20,000 in appreciation next year and earn 50% return on investment due to leverage. Now, the Q1 GDP estimated showed that the US contracted by 1.5%. So naturally, Q2 is of great importance, especially because one of the defining definitions of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. The Atlanta Fed lowered their QE GDP forecast from 1.3% to 0.9%, which is another sign that the economy is slowing. The World Bank, who is usually pretty accurate with their forecasts, have adjusted their 2022 and 2023 GDP figures and believes that if oil prices remain elevated and central banks continue to tighten, there's a good chance of a global recession. Carlos Gutierrez, the former U.S. Commerce Secretary, said on CNBC that he cannot remember a time the Fed got its monetary policy right. The Fed is hiking rates and as of this month, reducing their balance sheet. The Fed waited too long to act, and now they are at risk of sending us into a recession. But it's not just the Fed that got it wrong. During the congressional hearing on Capitol Hill, Yellen conceded that both she and the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, could have used a better word than transitory when previously describing the inflation pressures in the U.S. is facing. When asked if the administrative stimulus has added to the inflation problem, she ignored the question, but did remember that she was the biggest cheerleader for the almost $2 trillion American Rescue Plan. This combined of bad fiscal and monetary policy is the main reason the U.S. is in the position that it is today. But as a reminder, real estate historically favors well in a recession and definitely inflation. Tina Mitchell, and that is your Money Chat. Coming up next in the Money Hour, a panel conversation with my 3 guests, Insure Carefully, Dream Fearlessly. Tania McLaughlin of American Family Insurance. Managing the complexity of wealth so you don't have to. We have Justin Dime of Bordeaux Wealth Advisors and Human Resources and Bookkeeping Needs. Marnie Garcia of HR Connections right here on 1150 AM KKNW. You are listening to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, June 11th show. You can also listen to my podcast. You can catch my Facebook premiere, or you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. In addition, for more information on upcoming events, please go to TinaMitchellEvents.com. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. It's a great day to talk about money, and that is what the show is all about, how to make money, save money, so you can have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you are hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I'm here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that I have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150. Or online at themoneyhour.com. And now on my show, panel conversation with my 3 guests, Tania McLaughlin of American Family Insurance, Insure Carefully and Dream Fearlessly. Justin Dime of Bordeaux Wealth Advisors, Managing the Complexity of Wealth so you don't have to. And Marnie Garcia of HR Connections, Human Resources and Bookkeeping Needs, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Welcome to each one of you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Tina. Good to be here.
Great to be here.
Thank you. And Justin and Marnie, first time in studio. Tanya, I've had in on the show before, but really excited. And this is a different format than I do normally for the show. As you guys know, usually I have 2 guests and we have a quick panel conversation with a couple questions that I ask each of the guests. This is going to be an entire panel conversation, individual questions for their business, but it's because we're all actually in a networking group together where we help support each other. We're power partners. We do a lot of business together. And if you are actually looking for a great place to exclusively represent your business, professionals you trust, you can go to our website and come in and visit, and you get to hang out with each of us every single Monday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. So that's why we're doing a special show here. So before we get started, I want to do an introduction of each one of you. So Tania, a licensed insurance professional who uses her expertise to help clients weather unexpected events that put their life work into jeopardy. What makes Tania relevant is defining moment earlier in her career when she used her knowledge of proximate cause to overturn an incorrect claim decision, allowing the business owner to recover. Her work directly translates to pay claims and lives saved from financial ruin. In her 13 years with American Family Insurance, she has consulted insurance agency across Washington state, led change in with her company, and maintains the highest customer satisfaction and retention award due to her best practices. And then a little bit about Justin. Having mouse issues here as I'm bringing up the bios. Obviously, I don't have everybody's bio memorized, but here's Justin, joined by Bordeaux Wealth Advisors after transitioning his practice at Merrill Lynch Wealth Management. He brings deep experience in comprehensive financial planning and investment management for individuals and families. With a passion for financial fulfillment, Justin joined the team at Bordeaux Wealth Advisors to focus on serving all aspects of his client's financial picture. Justin earned an MBA from the University of Washington, Foster's School of Business in Seattle with a focus on investment and finance. He is also an Army veteran and serves on several local boards in our community. Justin, thank you for your service. He joins us today to talk more about having the right professionals in your corner when it comes to your wealth. And then last but finally, not least for sure, is Marnie. So Marnie is a certified HR professional with over 20 years expertise. Her skill includes managing employee relationship issues, recruiting top talent, and helping companies achieve workplace compliance. She is currently a senior consultant and director of business development for HR Connections and supports small businesses with their HR needs. So that's the introduction to my panel for today. And Tania, I'm going to go ahead and start out with you.
Wonderful.
As soon as I can get my mouse under control. This is just, it's fun when your computer doesn't work exactly all the tools that you want it to, but here we go. So Tania, what is one type of insurance that every business owner needs?
Thank you for that question, because you'd be surprised to hear a lot of people don't know that there is more than one kind of business insurance. I can't tell you how common it is that people will come in with one type of insurance, the one that's required by another entity, and that's all they have. And it's reasonable because when you're starting out, there's a lot to consider. You check the box to make sure that you can move forward, but when it comes down to it, that limit, general liability, only covers other people. No claim check goes to you in that situation. So I recommend having adequate coverage for lawsuits. That is a really great place for any new business owner to start because there's the physical damage, there's the advice we give, and then there's the contracts that we have with employees and contractors that can really put you in a really tight financial spot.
All right. And Justin, tell me how you got started in the industry, financial advising, and what led you to what you do now today. Oh, you're on mute, Justin. And the three of you can go ahead and just come off mute for the entire show. That's totally fine.
Perfect. It's much easier to hear me when I'm not on mute. I agree. Yeah, so I mean, it's a great story of how I got into the business, but it definitely wasn't linear at all. And I was born to a bunch of Slovenian immigrant accountants. So grandma had her own tax firm. My mom was an accountant, and my first job was working for, mom and grandma reconciling checkbooks on Saturday afternoons. So like any rebellious child, I didn't want to do anything with accounting or finance. So I spent my whole career planning to be a physician. I spent time in the Army Medical Corps in the medical realm. I served in clinical medicine. But I think what really drove me was just the care about people of all shapes and sizes. It brings me fulfillment to just show care toward others. So at the time I was accepted into medical school, I was managing a 6-partner orthopedic physician, orthopedic surgery practice in Bellevue. My doctors mentored me, and the thought came to me that, by organizing all these efforts, all this synergy within a company, I could effectively allow the doctors to do more, care for patients, alleviating a burden, so they can focus on what they do best. And so it turned out, having a knack for that, I decided instead of getting my MD, I would get my MBA under the same philosophy that if I could take care of people by organizing their finances, it can lead them to better lives and ultimately focus on what they want to do. I now spend my whole career in the philosophy and hence our Bordeaux model, managing the complexities of wealth so you don't have to. Needless to say, I work with a lot of very smart, very bright people as clients. So my role in their lives is to take care of their finances, their succession planning, their family, and ultimately give back their time so they can do whatever is best in their lives.
Wow, Justin, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I knew you were a smart guy. You're a really smart guy.
Thanks, Tina.
Yeah, Marnie, what are a few reasons why you became a human resource professional?
Yes, thank you for asking. It started out with being at school. I went to Washington State, so I'm Justin's rival over here.
Hey, go
Um,
Cougs.
Oh, no.
Go Cougs, Benny.
No, I can't start that.
So I was ended up being a sociology and Spanish major. Just loved learning about people and culture and different things like that. Really felt a passion for that. It's really hard to get into human resources. So I started out in sales. I was with Enterprise Rent-A-Car for many years in the sales and management side. And when a position opened up in recruiting, I was first to raise my hand. I was really excited to represent the company and sell the business, if you will. And that led me into years of being in recruiting and moved into more employee relations and the law and getting to know that, got certified with a PHR, professional in human resources. And so I've been doing this mainly in the hospitality industry for about 20 years now, and more to come.
Thank you, Marnie. So great, again, to hear a backstory about getting into the industry. And I just feel really honored and blessed to be in our networking group that we are together with such elite experts in each one of your fields. So thank you. Tania, what is the biggest gap that you're seeing on business insurance policies today?
Yeah, thank you. I work very closely with a lot of business owners. Like everyone we have featured today, being a business owner myself, I'm very interested in making sure that everyone is chasing their dream. And what I'm noticing is, actually, there was a statistic released recently that 2 in 3 business owners believe that they're still chasing their American dream. And that is a really refreshing statistic right from 2022. The thing about moving away from a big corporation and going it on your own, though, means it does expose you, and it's on you to put the proper protection in place. You don't have the benefit of group benefits and things like that. So business income is the #1 gap that I see. I talked a lot about those requirements that business owners say, okay, I'm opening a business, I need to check these 3 boxes, but it doesn't necessarily provide replacement for their income if their business operations were to stop for anywhere between 2 months to 2 years. And finally, the really pressing question, my job is to plan for worst case scenario. And I encourage every business owner to really ask themselves, what happens to your business if you were to pass away tomorrow? I know it's an unpleasant question, but does your business stay open? Does it close? Do your employees get to continue working? And will your family be able to continue with their current lifestyle? Putting a plan in place, believe it or not, it takes under an hour if you really crank through some of the topics there. And so that's one big gap that I always see on business policies, and I really encourage people to take a look, especially now.
Yeah, and we have to look at all of the worst case scenarios that can happen in our life so that our loved ones can be protected for sure. And that's in all arenas that we have, here in studio today. So Justin, knowing you as well as I do, I know that you are really passionate about helping people through at financial advising. So why Bordeaux Wealth Advisors, and what does your firm do differently compared to other wealth management practices?
Thanks. I love this question because I love talking about the firm, but I could give a whole presentation on this topic, which I have in the past, I think. So I'll be as brief as I can, but having worked in the large wirehouses and now in my boutique firm, I can speak from firsthand experience that our firm places the client's priority above everything. As a fiduciary and a client advocate, everything we build puts the client first. There's no sales goals, there's no cross-selling, there's no conflict of interest or proprietary products. In short, we don't actually sell anything. There's kind of like four main areas I really just want to touch on, but the first of which is we have an intimidating amount of brain power. Our client ratio is 8-1, and the industry standard is closer to 25-1, or I've even seen it as high as 50-1. And each client has 2 to 3 people working on their profile, evaluating and calculating their financial decisions. Each advisor has a deep background in finance and education and credentials. Just if you see our team online, you'll probably be impressed. It really is the gold standard in wealth management. We offer tax expertise. You hear a lot of advisors say, we don't provide tax advice, which is crazy to me. The tax implications of just selling a stock is, it could be up to 30% in taxes and capital gains. It's important to know we find that to be a huge point of leakage in someone's net worth. We do tax projections for clients and advise on top of that what we think they should do with their assets and how we think they should position to meet their goals. Our CPAs and CFPs work together. We have a huge emphasis on good investments, including non-traditional investments like venture capital, private equity, real estate. We don't have proprietary funds or products. When we recommend an investment, it's already something we've searched out. It's analyzed by our third-party investment firm. Our investment committee drafts an entire evaluation on it. So by the time it gets to the client, it's the best piece that we could present in front of them. And the last and most important piece, I think, for our panel is our deep and wide understanding of saving money for small businesses and equity compensation. Given our Seattle and Silicon Valley roots, it's no surprise that we've worked with founders of small businesses, owners, all manner of executives. So maybe asking yourself, how's your business structured? How's your company structured? Or maybe you're an executive, you're like, hey, with my paycheck came stock compensation. When's the right time to exercise my options? What are my AMT or ISO complications? These are drastic implications in your wealth and your tax all at the same time. So wealth is complicated. Make sure you have the right professional in your corner. And that's why I'm a part of Bordeaux. And so I would encourage anyone to give us a call if you got some questions about those areas.
Justin, thank you. And that's exactly why I have you in studio today. All right, coming up next on the Money Hour, continued panel conversation with my 3 guests. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Tania McLaughlin of American Family Insurance. Also managing the complexity of wealth so that you don't have to. I have Justin Dime of Bordeaux Wealth Advisors. And human resources and bookkeeping needs, I have Marnie Garcia of HR Connections right here on 1150 AM KKNW. You are listening to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, June 11th show. You can also listen to my show podcast, Facebook premiere. You can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. In addition, for information on upcoming events, you can go to tinamitchellevents.com. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I'm here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and 1 show at a time. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I can answer any questions or connect you with the guests that I have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And now in studio, my continued panel conversation with my 3 guests, Tania McLaughlin of American Family Insurance. Insure carefully and dream fearlessly. Justin Dime of Bordeaux Wealth Advisors, managing the complexity of wealth so you do not have to. And Marnie Garcia of HR Connections, Human Resources and Bookkeeping Needs right here on 1150 AM KKNW. So Marnie, I would love to go back to you. When and why did you join HR Connections?
Yeah, so I have been in HR for, like I said, about 20 years and mainly focused on hospitality and retail, just fun industries that I really enjoyed. But HR for 20 years is a lot. So I decided to take a little break and I opened up a gym in June of 2018. And it was a 9-round franchise. Kind of a dream of mine to always have my own business, and kind of went a different route and I needed a little break, to be honest. And then COVID hit. And so I was I was not doing business. And so I was home bored, and I reached out to my friend Mia Wyatt, who owns HR Connections. And I was like, hey, do you have any work for me? You know, can I help you out with anything? And she was very busy. So she was like, yes, I have plenty for you to do. So I started with her part-time. May 2021 kind of became the decision that I needed to make. And I sold my business and took a couple of months off, kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up, and decided to go back to my roots and go into HR. But I didn't want to just process paperwork anymore. I wanted to take what I learned developing my business at 9 Round and apply it someplace else. I had so much knowledge, and I was so much more connected with the community now. So we decided to have me do business development. So right now I do most of their business development, getting new clients, being a part of Professionals You Trust and wonderful groups like that. While I also manage a book of business as well. I have about 6 clients that are just mine, and I'm their first point of contact. So it's the best of both worlds, really.
Yeah.
And this is kind of my dream job. So I'm in a great place
that's
right
so
now.
great. I love
Yeah.
it how our journey takes us away from home, and sometimes it takes us back home, and we're kind
Back
of
around.
looking at, it wasn't the industry itself where you weren't passionate. It was the work that you were doing in the industry. So now coming back into an industry that you really have passion for and doing only the things that you love to do and helping to build that business. That is great, Marnie. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. And then Tanya, is there anything happening to business owners today that actually surprises you?
There always is something new happening in the insurance industry. So the answer to that is always yes. But as a licensed professional and keeping up to date on things, my job is to make good on our promises, that when we put the proper policies in place, when things go wrong and we're contacted, that the policies can pay appropriately. And, we've been hearing about cybersecurity for a long time now, all the way back to 2015, if you can believe it. And, we associate that with my computer being hacked into and people stealing data like payment information and social security numbers. And we all remember the rash of large corporations letting us know that our data had been compromised, right? But surprisingly, the reports are in this year, and officially small business owners are being targeted more than large corporations. It doesn't make sense at first, but when thinking about it, hackers have learned that corporations have put the money and the resources behind locking their data down with multi-factor authentication and all these new things out there. Small businesses, though, are pretty well fully exposed. And so coming from the insurance realm, cybersecurity coverage is something that doesn't just come with insurance policies. Like we talked about, the commercial or business insurance realm is very piecemeal. You have to select something in order for it to be there. So I'm starting to encourage people to really consider making sure that they have that added on, whether it's an option on their current policy or a separate policy. It's a really big exposure right now. Not only can your data be compromised, but your customers can hold you liable for their data being compromised. So,
yeah. And Tanya owns multiple agencies, and they do personal insurance for homeowners and consumers and individuals, as well as we're talking about business insurance. So her agencies do it all. Business insurance, it's critically important that you work with an agent that understands how business insurance works. And so a big shout out to you, Tanya, and your team with the expertise that you have for our small business owners to make sure that they are truly 100% protected.
thank you.
Yes. So Justin, at what point does it make sense to use an advisor like Bordeaux?
Well, I think just, hearing Marnie's story and Tanya talked about the current climate, it's exactly the right question. When would you use any of these professionals? And I think it goes to show when you have a need for that deep knowledge and that expertise, for me specifically, I think when do I need an advisor is an infamous question, because you worry about what are you trying to sell me, right? What are you trying to get after? And, we work with a lot of high earners, a lot of varying complexities of different financial pictures, come from different backgrounds. When I got started, most of my clients were physicians, clients are smart, they could do it themselves if they had the time. So I liken it to this. At what point do you hire a plumber or an electrician? At what point is your situation sophisticated enough, or intense enough for you, to think about having an advisor there in your corner? We're all professionals in our clients' corners, and at Bordeaux, we're always open to have a conversation to see what makes sense. But let me list a couple examples, just because I know that can sound vague. Maybe you're a small business owner looking to save money or find more tax efficient ways of putting money away for the future, or maybe you're looking how to structure that business to pass it to the next generation. Maybe you're a tech executive looking to exercise your options and RSUs, but not sure how or when to do this. I mean, given our Silicon Valley background, we have a deep experience in helping individuals unpack their options and structure their wealth around it. Or maybe you're a physician, a partner, just like we worked with before, and there's more that can be done in terms of your wealth and your structuring, but you want to make sure that your family planning is done right. You could be working, retiring, selling, inheriting. All of these are huge financial decisions. I would say warrants a conversation. If we can empower you and save money and show you how to invest and structure it properly for your future, no different than if you have a business that needs to be insured properly. We as advisors work a lot with insurance professionals, and Marnie's there in HR and bookkeeping to make sure that stuff is done correctly as well, because the last thing you need is a lawsuit. Those things are very, very drastic impacts on your wealth, especially for small businesses. So when it makes sense is when your picture is complicated enough and it's a huge financial decision and you need someone to take a look at it.
Yeah, and if you're a high net worth earner, obviously you're doing something right and you are smart. But remember, when was the last time that you did try to be your own plumber or your electrician? There is, in the financial arena, even more so than plumbing and electrician, there's a lot of things that are constantly changing, and there's not enough time in the day to be an expert at really more than one thing. And that's what you're an expert at right now. So those high income earners really have the resources to make sure that they have their money, their assets, and like we're talking with my other guests as well, their family protected so that they're maximizing their earnings or their keepings of those earnings. So thank you, Justin. Marnie, what human resource services does HRK offer for small and large businesses?
Yes, thank you. So I just kind of want to piggyback first on this power group, because we're all here to protect our clients and protect the future of everybody. And I just kind of had, when Justin was talking, had this aha moment of like, that's what I do all day long, is protect people, protect my clients from potential lawsuits, making sure that their employees are happy, that they have the best talent that we bring to the table so that they can grow their business and everything. So I really pride myself on that. And I do take it very personally if there's a lawsuit that we didn't see coming or anything like that, because I really want to be ahead of that for everybody. And especially with a small business, it can impact so much more than my corporate background. It still affects it, but definitely when you're dealing with a family-owned business. So I had to say that first off the cuff, but
well said.
As far as services go, every day I'm talking to employees, making sure that I'm managing any problems that come up, bringing in top talent, like I said, and just looking at making sure that everybody is compliant. Especially Washington State, things are constantly changing, and we pride ourselves on making sure that we're ahead of the game. If we know something's coming, we tell the clients that need to be told. And so I think that's a big piece of it, just being ahead of the game for them. And then some big projects that we'll do would be like, I just did an affirmative action plan. I developed a diversity, equity, and inclusion presentation that we've are kind of tweaking right now, and you guys will see a little bit of it on Monday.
Yay!
And then some other things like handbooks and things like that, just time-consuming things like what Justin was saying that like a physician doesn't have time for.
Yes.
A business owner doesn't have time to create a handbook, but it's a necessity.
Absolutely. And they don't really have the expertise to do it at the level that you're doing it, Marnie, correct?
And like keeping up with the changes with everything and
Yes.
different laws. And so.
Yeah, a lot. So, Tanya, with so many businesses moving from their commercial spaces and working from home, how does that impact their insurance policies?
Greatly, because
Ah,
like anything, with change comes a necessary evaluation. Now, if you have an insurance professional that's managing things behind the scenes for you, it does make it easier. But here's the thing, when things change, in insurance, there's a hard line between personal and commercial or business insurance, right? They do not play in the same sandbox. You fit in one side or the other. And so one of the best things you can do is have your personal and your business insurance in the same place. That is the optimal thing to make sure that you don't have any gaps open up in your coverage, or even worse, overlaps that are just knocking away at your expenses rather than really doing the proper protection. And that's what we're seeing with people working from home, is they're missing out on things like, hey, you've got a car that's been parked for months. Hey, you don't have this kind of commercial exposure being in the office, giving advice to people, things like that. The second best way is going to make sure that you get your agents talking to each other. So you can have company A for personal and company B for commercial, but get those agents in communication to make sure that you have an assessment put together, because in some cases there are coverage limits that you can add on one side or the other that start to bridge that gap without you having to set up a whole new portfolio. So I would just encourage people to get that going.
yeah, thank you, Tanya. All right. Well, coming up next on the Money Hour, I'm going to continue my panel conversation with my three guests: Insure Carefully, Dream Fearlessly, Tania McLaughlin of American Family Insurance. Managing the complexity of wealth so you don't have to is Justin Dime of Bordeaux Wealth Advisors, and human resources and bookkeeping needs, Marnie Garcia of HR Connections, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. You are listening to the Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, June 11th show. You can also listen to my show podcast, Facebook premiere, or you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. In addition, for information on my upcoming events, you can go to tinamitchellevents.com. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I bring into studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market, everything that has to do with your money. Now in studio, panel conversation with my three guests: Tania McLaughlin of American Family Insurance, Insure Carefully, Dream Fearlessly, Justin Dime of Bordeaux Wealth Advisors, managing complexities of wealth so you don't have to, and also Marnie Garcia of HR Connections, Human Resources and Bookkeeping Needs, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. So Justin, you had mentioned earlier, but I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper. If you could talk a little bit more about what you mean by saving money as a small business.
Thanks, Tina. I appreciate it. I do want to talk a little bit more about this. I think it's huge. And as you know, as the other panelists have talked about, we partner together to make sure we're on the client side of this. And so when it comes to, saving money or structuring money or organizing money, however you want to, slice that pie, so to speak, it's important to talk about, if you're a business owner, you have a lot on your plate. You need insurance professionals, you need HR and bookkeeping. You might even need a mortgage for your business, right? I mean, all of these pictures matter, in someone's financial well-being. So, if you're a business owner, maybe you need to know, before you've even started it, what do I set it up as, an LLC or an S Corp? What kind of structure goes with that? Then, we're tapping Marnie for some expertise on, what do you use in terms of, your HR when it comes to that? Or, we're talking to Tanya, hey, what kind of insurance makes the most sense? We'll want to look at your business plan, your liability. We'll want to look at your personal retirement plan. How are you managing the wealth that's coming through your business? Is there wealth coming through your business? Are you using the right debt instruments? If you're just using a traditional IRA, maybe you don't know about an I-401k or a cash balance plan, ways of putting that money away so you can reduce your taxable income while increasing the amount you're able to invest. Depending on your company structure, your cash flow, you could be reducing your income and putting lots of funds away for future use. These are just some small examples, but if you think about combining all of those things together, structure, tax incentives, expertise of our team on the side of you, that could have drastic effects all simultaneously with one another in synchrony. And, if you have an advisor, maybe your advisor is the one that's like, hey, we need to talk to an insurance professional here. Or, hey, we need to talk about how your HR is structured because you've got enough employees now, you're growing. This is something, I can help connect people with experts in the area that maybe we don't have. So, we stand to be our client's personal CFO in every single aspect. We go above and beyond and take pride in how we, how wide and deep we go to help small businesses. And so in every single manner, there's a lot that an advisor and a firm like ours can do to help you save, protect, and organize your wealth.
Yeah, and I like how each of you are shouting out the power of a power team, because it really is people that work very closely together, and they have those resources of who is the expert in that space and can really help you navigate through all of these areas. And today, we just have 4 part of a power team in that, but we have much more of those people that are involved in our power team to make sure we have resources for each and one of our clients' special needs or needs at this time. So Marnie, how do you support your business community?
So thank you. This is a great example of that, and being part of our organization that we have, the Professionals You Trust, has been just such a great experience for me, and I've learned so much. And when I meet you guys in person, like I met Justin yesterday in person for the first time, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're not just in a Zoom call anymore. It's just so nice to be connected and be close in the community and all kind of in the Seattle market. So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, is just like connecting and being able to talk about everything. I'm really thankful for my time as a business owner. Even though, I was severely affected by COVID, I was very involved in the community. For 20 years, I had commuted to Seattle. I didn't know anybody locally. I had to 100% build my business, build my book of business. Nobody knew anything about the gym. It's very popular in the South, but nobody knew what it was up here. So I was at every event, every fun run, everything I could do to get out there and put the name out. But at the same time, I feel like when I was doing those events, it was helping out the North Shore Schools Foundation, giving them a donation. And then that's where these partnerships started to happen. And through that, I became involved with the Bothell Kenmore Chamber. I've been on their board for almost 2 years now. And so is Mia Wyatt, who's the owner of HR Connections, which is really great. And so we do a lot of stuff with them, a lot of events, volunteering. I just became an ambassador for the Woodinville Chamber, and that's been great. A lot of fun.
What a huge honor to be
yes.
and be an ambassador. Yeah.
It's really great. And all the events are at wineries, by the way.
Yeah, not so bad.
Just the area, right?
Exactly. Well,
So-
that is, go ahead, Marnie.
No, that's it. That's just some of the groups that I'm involved. So.
People that are successful in their businesses, like each one of you are, it starts from the community driven side of it. And when you have the understanding, when you come from a place of contribution, you will monetize. But it's really starting, what can I do for my community? How can I best serve my clients that need my service? And everything else falls into place. So another reason I feel honored to be a part at such a close level with each one of you, having you as my power partner. So Tania, should business owners be looking to keep overhead costs low, opt to get online business insurance and manage it themselves? No.
Thank you for answering it for me. I like that you have that gut instinct. It's like we've worked together before. And here's the thing. I have to give a shout out to Tina as well as our host. A top 1%, mortgage lender. She knows that going online, you are running the risk, because in managing something yourself that you are not an expert in is just asking you to wear one more hat within your business. And every business owner, no matter whether you're starting out or you're seasoned, and you have an entire operation that's been running for years, you're going to feel like you're playing whack-a-mole at one point or another, right? You're reactive. The only way to really be proactive is to get that professional that has the licensing, but on top of all of it, develops their business based around what your needs are. So the three most important pain points that have driven what my team and I do each year, yes, we've expanded our locations, and yes, we've expanded our licensing to other states and other companies outside of American Family. But the other thing is that we offer automatic renewals. You don't have to redo the insurance process every single year, especially if your business really hasn't changed operationally. Insurance requirements, sometimes those requests come in like hotcakes from people that our businesses or our business owners are trying to do business with, and keeping up with those certificates is hard. A lot of times other areas might ask for a whole laundry list of things that don't even apply to our customer's business. So we can step in and advocate and negotiate and find a happy medium that works, that doesn't cost our customer a bunch of extra money. And finally, claims. If you have ever experienced an insurance claim and you haven't had someone advocating for you, and an attorney that you pay for does not count, I mean someone who's there for you in your corner, please get one, because that is part of what you pay for in your insurance premium. It goes to liability coverage, which is for lawsuits, which gives you representation from your insurance company for free. So things like slip and fall claims, I've had that in a nail salon before. Someone came in and slipped and fell, came after the business owner. It was completely fraudulent. But that can run up insurance costs and run up attorney costs. By making a claim on your insurance policy, the representation comes free of charge, and we've been able to turn a lot of those around before they even go to court or even go on the record. So those are just some examples of having that in place. And I have to give a final shout out to having a professional in your arsenal doesn't just apply to insurance. Whether you're starting out or you're established, make sure that your business is structured correctly. You've got to talk with someone like Justin, or more specifically, Justin. I've done that with my business. As I've grown and expanded, things get complicated. And if you aren't structured correctly, that's going to stop you from continuing your growth, let alone if you don't have a vision of where you're going to go and a plan to get there. That's what he's going to provide. And then Marnie can get involved with you on a daily basis, as she does with my business, to make sure that I'm compliant and moving forward again down the track that isn't going to put me at risk of losing it all tomorrow. And finally, I'm here for when things really do go wrong, to have someone really come in and be that rock and go to bat for you.
Yeah, thank you, Tanya. And that's why in your credentials, it's just, having that in there and what you've done for business owners, because you have to make sure that your insurance agent is representing you and is there to back and fight when that time, if that time comes up that you're put in a situation like Tanya explained. So thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.
Justin, how can my listeners learn more about your firm?
Thanks, Tina. I'll explain that in a second, but I definitely got to say, I love to hear that, as Tanya talked about, just all of us having to grow, as an owner or as expansion. I mean, Tanya's opened other offices. We just had our, Seattle office open. We had our open house, which is where Marnie was able to come and hang out. It was a huge hit. We had way more people show up than we even thought, we're going to make it. And, it's just been really exciting. So I definitely wanted to say that, if you want to learn more about it, you can come to the open house. And if you didn't get an invite or you didn't know about it, I'll tell you when the next one is. Just let me know that, you're interested. But I love to see that excitement as all of us grow. But anyways, yeah, when it comes to knowing more about my firm, like myself, I like to do a lot of research. Even before I call somebody, I want to know who I'm calling, what it's all about. So, I think it goes without saying, obviously we have a killer website. You can see our whole team, our client stories, our philosophy. But what I'm really most proud about recently is our marketing director, Amy, has been spearheading our Insights tab, where our own advisors are posting thought leadership articles they've written for publications or education on specific topics. They're a great resource for clients on investing and gifting and transferring, and more from there on out. We have a campaign that's launched with a lot more to come. You can add me on LinkedIn if you like to personally connect. Always happy to chat and talk about you and your situation. I do want to mention, though, there's a lot of resources out there, but you can't always take them at face value. You usually need someone who understands your specific situation. To Tanya's point, going online or, just trying to do it yourself is one more hat that could, maybe be a little bit too difficult. So knowing all the details and everything is generally when you need a professional who can do it for you. But at the end of the day, wealth can be complex. Let us handle the heavy lifting so you don't have to. We do it well. And so I'm just excited to be on the show and be partnering with all you guys. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Same to you, Justin.
Yeah, thank you, Justin, for being here, and great shout out to Amy and everything that she's doing for the firm as well. So Marnie, last question for the show today. What is your favorite part of working with HR?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say, I think, like, just HR aside, all of us are in our lanes. Like, we're all in the lanes, we're all in where we should be. And I think that's what makes us good at what we do, but also have fun doing it too, and be able to laugh and support each other. I think that's great. So personally, I just like to see people having success. So in HR, I get to see when they get a promotion, they get a new job, or mitigate something that they might thought we're going to get in trouble. So I think just all those things, and making the small businesses feel secure, I think is my favorite thing.
Thank you. Well, I want to say thank you to each one of you, Tania, Justin, Marnie, not just for being here today and sharing your wealth of information with my listeners, but being a part of my own personal power team for my clients. So thank you to each of you.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you so much.
And sad to say, but that's a wrap for the day. If you want to connect with my guests, you can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. I'll get you connected with them, or you can go to themoneyhour.com. I'm your host, Tina Mitchell, and your local mortgage expert, saying goodbye for the weekend, but look forward to talking with you about money again next weekend, right here on 1150 AM KKNW.